As the race for president, really on both sides of the aisle, grows increasingly divisive and just nasty in some cases, there are pundits who are saying the turmoil could really open the door, open for this opportunity for an independent candidate, not only to jump into the race, but to win. And that is the focus of this New York Magazine article entitled Why Michael Bloomberg Could Run for President and Win. You read this piece, and essentially it argues that if Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders win their party's nominations, it could have a winning path for the billionaire and former New York mayor. Let's bring in Bernard Whitman to talk about this, who knows Mayor Bloomberg well, having worked with him as a pollster in 2009. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Brooke.
How long does he really have to decide?
I think in the next few weeks he's got to make a decision. I mean, there are a number of deadlines that loom, in particular May 9th in Texas, when he has to actually take some significant steps. And before that, he'd have to gather signatures and so forth. So he has a few weeks, but the time is drawing nigh to make a decision.
By then, we may not know whether it's a Bernie Sanders situation or a Hillary Clinton situation. He has to be weighing that as part of his decision.
Well, I mean, here's what we do know. Each passing day on the Republican side, it gets more and more apparent that the voters would actually welcome a real adult in the room. I mean, you have the two front runners yelling at each other, screaming at each other, calling each other liars, one threatening to sue. I mean, it is literally a reality TV race gone presidential. And I think that the voters are looking at it and saying, you know, if someone got into the race with socially liberal, fiscally conservative views that took a moderate, common sense approach that would bring people together, build consensus, actually get things done, who has a record of experience for doing that in a city as large and diverse as New York, that is something that I think voters would really welcome. And then you look at the Democratic side, and this mere specter of a self-avowed socialist actually potentially winning the nomination is incredible. I mean, if you actually start looking at what the numbers are, that New York Times article out today shows that Hillary, when in the debate last week, when she said the federal government would probably grow by 40% under Bernie, she vastly underestimated. It could add $1–2 trillion of spending, grow the federal government by 50–60% beyond where we are now.
So initially the thought when this whole thing first was percolating in the ether was, okay, well, only if Hillary is not the nominee, then he would definitely, throw his hat in the race. Now, by whatever this timetable, we may not know if it's either, and he will have to make that calculated, decision. I was talking to Ari Fleischer a week before last when I was in New Hampshire, former spokesperson for George W. Bush, and he was saying to me, Brooke, bring him on. It would be great for the Republicans if Michael Bloomberg ran.
Well, be careful what you ask for, because I'm sure they're doing a lot of polling, and I think that they're not looking simply at, are they going to take more from the Republicans, more from the Democrats, but can they actually put together a winning coalition to deliver 270 votes in November? And I think increasingly that opportunity is there. Why? Because the rhetoric on both sides is getting so divisive. And I think that the truth is a plurality, if not a majority, of voters actually espouse viewpoints that the mayor would put forward in his presidential campaign. They want to keep taxes low, but they also want a safety net. They want to raise the minimum wage. They are willing to actually raise taxes on the rich to deal with income inequality. They want pro-growth strategies, but they also want to combat climate change. They want to keep guns off the street. So they want to support the freedom for gays and lesbians to continue to marry and for women to be able to choose. These are all policy positions that appeal, I think, to the center of the country that actually aren't showing up as much on the right or the left.
Bernard Whitman on the possibility of a Bloomberg run to be continued.
Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you so much.